options. Oh my God. Welcome back for another
Yes.
episode. I am so excited. You are at the I'm Not Salesy podcast, and it just turned 11/11 in
Oh,
Florida. Yeah, I know.
fun.
I call from the future. And so, okay, I have the most fun conversation for you today and the best guest. So, Alessandra Caprice, well, Braun, right? Alexandra Braun.
Yeah, my last name is Braun, but we actually are, it's a long story, but we're actually changing our last name soon. So I've been going by my middle name, Alessandra Caprice, well, my first name and my middle name
Yeah.
for almost 3 years now, but that's my last name. Yeah.
Yeah. So what are you changing it to?
Well, it's a fun story. We've actually wanted to change our name for years, like 7 years, and we just didn't know what to change it to.
Yeah.
And so we've been kind of allowing it to come to us.
Mhm.
And last year I was on a mastermind call and someone said it, and I said, "Oh, that's our name." And so it's Solivare,
Oh,
and
I
it
love that.
means Italian, and it means to lift others up. So
Yeah.
it's more our vibe. It's more Braun is a family name that has just not as family oriented, and we wanted to kind of break free of that. And we've been wanting to find a name over these years, but we've been patient, and it just came, and it really describes who we are. And so I'm almost 9 months pregnant. I was just telling you,
Yeah.
and we're gonna be changing our name. We haven't changed it yet, but we are gonna give her that name. So she is gonna be the first born Solivare. So that's
Oh
really fun.
my gosh. She's like, gosh, it's like Game of Thrones.
Yes, first of her name.
Yeah, you're welcome if you want to do your baby announcement like that. Yeah.
Right? Oh my gosh, I should. That is hilarious. I will. Oh my gosh. I love it.
I love it too. That's awesome. Oh, well, cool. I love hearing these stories. And congratulations on your pregnancy. So,
Thank you.
Alessandra and we met well, I met you through, gosh, a program that we were both in like four
Yeah.
years ago. And then we were in another coach's program, Lindsay Dam's
Yep.
program, like a couple years later.
Yep.
And so this is the first time meeting face to face, but I'm
I
so
know.
excited. I feel like I've met you like 1,000 times already. So this will be a fun
Seriously.
conversation.
I know.
But,
I'm so excited.
yay. So Alessandra does breath work. So you've moved into being like the spokesperson for breath work. And I have to tell you, my husband, and wait, let me just give you your whole bio. So she's an intuitive business coach using breath work and coaching to help female entrepreneurs grow and scale your online business, which we all love and want to have happen, right? And
Yes.
so basically, if you say that you've got a struggle in your business, you can use breath work for that, and that you can create programs on all aspects of business, with the core programs being Money Magnet, or you have created these programs. So Money Magnet, you have Being Big, and then Sales Alchemy. And I believe you said Sales Alchemy is coming out soon, right? This is
Yes.
breath
Yep.
work.
Yeah. We start, all my programs are a year long, because
Oh,
this work is just meant to be compounded. They weren't originally that way. And then the more we do this work, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's things we just have to keep revisiting and keep deepening. And because it's all about expansion, right? Like, I don't want you to just expand 1 month
yeah.
and then slip or slide. I want you to just like compound it. And so we start Sales Alchemy March 6th. But I'm running it. They all my programs run about 3 times a year
Okay.
live. And then I do continuation modules every month.
Hmm.
And so it's really just like a growing dynamic program. And every session is different. Like, I don't repeat modules. Um, so it just like builds on itself.
Yeah.
So it doesn't, if someone was to listen to this later, it's still available. It's still there, and we still have live programs coming all the time and adding to it, and it's really fun. This work is just really fun. I guess why I pivoted. Like, this is just like my like I love it, and no one else is doing it like this. So
No, no. In fact, yeah, I think that's the sweet spot, when you can find something that you totally love and that no one else is doing it in the way that you're doing it.
yeah.
It not just for the goal of like being in a blue ocean and standing out, but more of like, you know, you love it more, you know, and you
Yeah.
feel like innately like, well, I'm a special unicorn because I made this myself, you know. Like
Right.
my sales queen takeover program is kind of similar. It's not breath work by any stage,
Yeah.
but it's unlike any other sales program that teaches you like this, the way to actually like talk in sales calls and stuff like that,
Yeah.
like nitty gritty around that and some of the energetics. But like I have not, like I was trained, I was classically trained as a sales rep
I love that.
in my like pharmaceutical career since, I mean, I was brainwashed into how to sell back at the
Yeah.
age of 21 by Johnson and Johnson, but they have such high class like sales training programs, and every other company I worked for after that the same kind of way. But like the way they do trainings and the way the online coaching space does trainings, it's like, oh, there's a big disconnect. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like where they give you all the tools and make sure you're implementing them because you don't have any other choice. You're implementing them right away, which
Right.
sounds like it's very similar to your, like I love that model because it's easy to teach somebody, oh, you know, go watch a YouTube on your own. I'm going to drop it in the portal.
Right.
But like, are they really going to do it? Are they going to wake up at 5 and do it and then wake up the next day at 5 or like the next day after that be like, well, it was okay. I don't think I'm
Yeah.
going to do it today. And then they don't show up. And then it's Sunday and Saturday, you know? So
Right.
what led you to do it like that too?
Yeah. Well, it's because I my first program I launched was Money Magnet. And
Mm-hmm.
I honestly, here's the thing, like I thought that was going to be my thing. I was like money and breath work. When I first became a breathwork facilitator, I had been called to breathwork. Like it kept like pulling me, and I'm like, I'd never really done it. Like I'd done a little bit of it, and I'd done like yoga and like deep breathing and meditation and different breathing exercises as I was learning mindfulness and all that stuff as a therapist. I used to be a therapist before I
Yeah.
was an online coach. And so I did all that, right? And but I was being called to this breath work thing, which is very different than those modalities. And so when I first did it, it was, a year and a half ago. I said, I'm going to go all out in this breathwork session. I'm going to not stop. I'm not going to, because it can be a little bit unnerving to keep going because it's something so different.
Yeah.
And I downloaded this idea of money breathwork or breathwork with money. I didn't call it money breathwork at the time. But I was like, no, I have to do this work with money. And so last year, I started, I got certified about a year and a half ago, and then wasn't really using it very much. And then I kind of hit a lull in my business. My, money story is that I came from an entrepreneur who had quite the roller coaster situation. And so my last 6 years of entrepreneurship have been very similar. I mean, not similar. He was like millionaire. My dad was, millionaire and everything. And we went bankrupt when I was 8. And so I wasn't quite millionaire status and losing it all. But it's been a roller coaster. And so last year I hit about a lull and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go all in on breath work. I'm going to practice this. I'm going to do money breath work for myself. I'm going to start creating it. And so then I started working with clients and seeing, the impact. I was like just doing money magnet breath work. So I
Yeah.
created my
So
program. Go
what,
ahead.
when you're done telling about how to go, can you go into just saying like, what is money breath work?
Yeah. I will.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And so that it's evolved over time. So I call it money breath work, but it's so much more than just money. And I didn't know that at the time. So I was originally just doing money breath work, like around your energetics with money, creating more money, receiving more money, healing your money trauma. That's what Money Magnet is all about. My program Money Magnet is all about the energetics of like literally creating money, having money, holding money, creating new normals around money, wealth, becoming the woman who has money, right? And what I was finding when I was working with my one-on-one clients is that one week we would do one of those types of sessions, all about money, creating money, right? And then the next week, something in sales would come up, right? Like, oh, I just like I'm selling a new program and I need to like get into that, or I don't know my message, or I don't know who it's for, or whatever. And
Yeah.
so we would do a
Mm.
private session that was more that now is now my sales alchemy program. And then the next week it would be, you know, something like a limiting belief was coming up and they weren't believing themselves. I have what's called the armors of smallness that keep us small. And I'm all about like owning your bigness and standing up big. And so I was realizing, okay, it's not just about money, right? I know we all want to make money,
Yeah.
but it's really about this intertwining of your energetics with money, healing your money trauma, sales, right? Showing
Yeah.
up and actually doing the thing, which is what you're all about, right? And then my Being Big program, which is all about healing, you know, your not enough,ness, your fear of
Yeah.
success, your fear of failure, right? And so Money Breathwork became the like compilation of all of them, right? So like Money Breathwork is about making more money. Yes, because I want you to make more money. But the way that you do that is sometimes healing your money trauma, sometimes selling the heck out of your program, and
Yeah.
sometimes it's getting over, you know, your fear of being successful and stepping into
Right.
your bigness. And
Mm.
so Money Breathwork consists of um, a really, really powerful framework of that I feel like people get stuck in this, especially in this industry where we're so far on the strategy one side and then energetics on the other side and
Mm.
then the healing on another side, right? It's like some people just get stuck in their healing and they're just
Yeah.
like, I need to heal all my trauma right now in order for me to be successful. I need to only focus on money. I need to only focus on the energetics, or I need to just like take a new strategy program, right? It's like
Yeah.
they're that's really what I see in the industry. And I saw that there was this beautiful sweet spot where we could combine them all. And
Yeah.
so the framework for Money Breath Work is that we do all three during one session, right? And it's targeted towards, you know, whatever the name of our session is, right? Like whatever it's about. If it's about, you know, if it's a sales program, for my sales alchemy program, we have like irresistible offers, right? Like we have ideal client, you know, or your message, right? And in that one session, we will go in and do any healing that needs to happen. We will find like what's holding you back. We'll find what's been scary about doing the thing that you want to do, or confusion or whatever that is, like the healing. And of
Hmm.
course we'll do any releasing, healing, and then we'll do expansion, right? And so that's like where
Oh,
people get stuck. They just do this healing, but
yeah.
we always go into expansion, and then which
Mhm.
is like I said, where people get stuck, right? Like they do the healing and then they're like, okay, I'm good. And then they don't get the like extra level of like, okay, now what's next, right? So once you do the healing, you do the expansion. And then I always end all my breath works with like, what action are you going to take? Like, let's go, let's
Yeah.
use this,
Yeah.
right? And
With
so
anyone.
it's that framework that comes together that is my magic, right? Of being able to put them all into like a single session, right?
Yeah.
Whatever, with whatever topic you're working on that day, you know?
Right. Oh, it's incredible. Yeah. So how do you have to use like a different breathwork technique for different types of trauma, or how does that work? Is it
No, yeah. So in I have different
what
types
does
of
the session look
sessions.
like? Yeah.
Yeah, so I
Okay.
have different types of sessions. So um the longer, deeper transformational sessions, there I call them the meditative sessions.
Hmm.
They are usually about 30 to 40 minutes.
Hmm.
And they are one breath pattern. We just hold the same breath pattern the whole time. And
Hmm.
what I do is I create phases through it. So I'm cueing different phases. Sometimes I'll say, you know, go deeper.
Yeah.
You know, if you need to move your body, if you need to sound out your mouth, like our bodies
Yeah.
know what to do to like heal, to expand, to move, right? And so a lot of it is I'm the holder, the facilitator, the container, but
Mm.
like you're the magic, right? Like everyone's like, oh my gosh, you're so magic. I'm like, you're magic because that's what breath work does. And I
Mhm.
just like, yes, my sessions are very curated and very intentional, and like you could do this on your own, but it won't be money breath work, right? And I stand by that. But the thing is like I'm just helping you access what's already inside. Like really, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I take you through different phases during, a longer journey. And so those are my like deeper transformational sessions. Those are like things for, in my sales alchemy program, we have a module on conviction in who you are, because conviction in who the sales, conviction in you, conviction in your product, conviction in your buyers, right? And so
Yeah.
I have modules for each of them, but like there's probably a lot of stuff that is behind
Yeah.
all of that, right? And so I use those for the like the deeper transformations, like the places where like the deeper healing needs to happen are
Mhm.
my longer sessions. And
Yeah.
then I also have these shorter sessions, and I call them kind of like the quick shift.
Mhm.
They're integrative, like you can do them in 10-12 minutes, and those ones I do take you through like different breath patterns, and
Mhm.
they're also very intentional. And their breath, you'll do a breath pattern for like 2 minutes, and then one for a minute, and then one for 2 minutes, and then one for a minute, right? And those are made to quickly shift your energy. And I love the ones that we have like in sales alchemy, because they're just very action oriented. Like we have send me the link, like get into the energy
Yeah.
of send me the link energy. I'm actually hosting a free program right now that is called Send Me the Link, that I'm going deeper into it.
That's
But
so
we have this
fun.
awesome breathwork inside sales alchemy that is 10 minutes long,
Mhm.
and they're able to just shift into that energy of magnetism, right?
Right.
And then I also have like, the finish line, going through the finish line in a launch, like being able
Mhm.
to keep the energy. I just have like so many very action oriented. Like we just added a couple of weeks ago, people love to pay me.
Yeah.
And one of my clients was like, I've been doing this every day since we did it. And literally someone said today, I love to pay you. And I was like, yes, that's what it is. That's what it's all about. Right. And so I have these just different types of sessions, kind of for just different energies that you're
Mhm.
looking at. A lot of my clients love, I recommend doing those deeper transformational ones,
Yeah.
1, 2, 3 times a week if you can. I mean, three
Mm.
times a week would be like ideal, but not everyone has all that time, right?
Yeah.
But they tend to do those shorter integrative ones every day, because they can go into the vault, they can find which one, the energy they want for that day. The way that I have my program set up, and this is why I did it the way that I did, is I have this program called the Business Expansion Experience, and it includes everything. So it
Yeah.
includes, Money Magnet, Being Big, Sales Alchemy, all my workshops, just everything. And so every day my clients come into our group and say, hey, I'm going through this, or something is coming up, this block is happening, or I have this thought coming in, and I literally send them to a curated breath work for them and say, hey, go. Like literally this morning someone was like, I just had my best month yet, I don't believe that I'm going to do it again. I'm so excited, but I'm just like also in fear of like, what if I
Yeah.
don't do it again? Right. And
Yeah.
so I sent her, we have this awesome module in Money Magnet called the New Normal,
Yeah.
which celebrates what you've created.
Mhm.
It and makes it normal, right? Like the energy of manifestation isn't the, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's like, huh, yeah,
Yeah.
I'm here, right? Like this is
Yeah.
normal for me. And so I sent her to that breath work, because then it also helps you expand too, right? And so I love, this library. My library of breathworks is like, I don't know, up to 60
Oh my
now or
God.
something
That sounds
insane.
fascinating.
And they're all different, with different energies, with different like intentions and motivations. Like I really use, I feel like I've recommended every single one to someone at some point because of something that they're dealing with or that they
Yeah.
want. And like we're adding, I think this month alone we're adding like 30, which is insane. I know. But I
No
have like
kidding.
so many ideas, and you know what? It's a dynamic thing, right? You know this
Yeah.
as a mentor, when clients are dealing with things. I, at this point, I can almost say for every problem that they come to me, I have a breath work for that.
Yeah.
Um, but not quite. And so I'm like, I'll create a breath work for that. I'll
Wasn't
create a
there
breath
like
work
a
for that.
commercial before that's like, there's an app for that, right?
Yeah, it's like there's a breath work, like there's a breath work for that. Hashtag money breath work.
So how do you make them all, how do you know how to make them all different? I'm fascinated by this, or do they have to think of like a certain repetitive thought that they're ingraining? Or like, how does that all work? Or is it just breath? Like, how do you know to do, I didn't know you could breathe 60 different ways.
Yeah. Well, it's not the breath doesn't change. This is
Yeah.
the thing.
Okay.
Right. And so the breath, I mean, obviously the integrative session is the breath, but it's like, I had someone ask me like, what's the specific breath for money? And I'm like, it's not like the breath is the breath. Like there are so many beautiful breathwork facilitators out there. I mean, when I became a facilitator, there's 150 people in my class, right? And that's just one certification program, right?
Did you
And so
study?
like there's
What did
I pause breath work
Oh, okay.
is where I got certified. And so, there's so many different like
Mm,
facilitators and practitioners out there, and we all bring our different intentions and energy, right? And
yeah.
I just have chosen, because my background is business strategy,
Yeah.
is to bring it into the business space because no one else is doing that, right?
Right.
And so when I see like just the other day, um we were talking about something in my business expansion experience, and someone mentioned something, and then five of them were like, me too, me too, me too, me too. And I'm like, okay, I need to create a breath work for the thought I'm too much.
Oh,
Right. And that was, because I've been told I was too much. I was told I was too much when I was a kid. But right. And so like that type of thing happens where a thought comes in, or I mean, I create concepts like the armors of smallness and those kinds of things like come through as, the work. We create frameworks, we create concepts
yeah.
as thought leaders, right? But like little things like that, where this thought that has been plaguing, many of the women in my program, like I'm going to create a breath. I don't have it yet. It's on the docket for this month, but I'm too much. And so what my breath works do is they go in to that thought. They do, like, I'm a therapist as my background, right? So like I know about, how our emotions and
Mm,
memories are coded in our bodies.
yeah.
And mindset work just doesn't freaking do it,
Yeah.
right? Like
Yeah.
when things are coded in our bodies, like especially when it comes to money, we have money trauma, we
Yeah.
have money beliefs, we have money coding from ancestors, from our childhood, right? And that we can just like grit it out with mindset work for a couple hours a day, or we can do a breath work for 15 to 20 minutes and like recode it from your body up,
Hmm.
right? And so like every breath work that I have has an intention. Like think about how many like intentions and affirmations there are
Yeah.
out there. Like you could literally come up with thousands. Like that's how many breath works I can come up with. Like I imagine, and it's honestly, it's just, it's my creative outlet. Like I didn't have that before, as I was, a business strategist. And then I was, a life coach and a
Yeah.
therapist. And I just was pretty much like by the book, and I was
Yeah.
kind of doing what other people did. And when I found breath work and I started creating these flows, and I started creating money breath work in the way that I do it, and the different phases, which people don't do, like that's me thing. Um, and I started, they're really easy for me to create. Like I'm like, oh, okay, we'll do this, and then we'll go there, and then we'll go into your childhood, and then we'll heal the thing, and then we'll expand, and then we'll,
Yeah.
it's like people are like blown away by it
Yeah.
because that it's really unique. And for me, the reason why I can do 30 breath works in a month and be also almost 9 months pregnant, like I was talking about it on my, is because it flows, it's
Yeah.
easy. And so like this is what I, when it comes, we were talking about, the sales at the beginning,
Mhm.
and how I've kind of found what I'm doing. It's like it makes it so much easier to sell when you are doing something that one comes easy to you. When you're trying to force it, when you're trying to like fit into a box, like do what she's doing over there, or do it kind of do what
Mhm.
she's doing but do it in your way, but like still kind of doing what she's doing because it's working for her, right? Like
Yeah.
this was me for like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
Of like trying to find my thing, but like really
Totally.
looking outside of me,
Yeah.
and so when it comes to magnetic sales and not being salesy, the name of your podcast, it's like
Yeah.
the key is like finding and not necessarily finding, because I don't feel like it's more of a seeking thing. It's like just allowing it to come in and come to you,
Yeah.
because then it just makes it so much easier to sell the heck out of it, right? Like my
Yeah.
inbox has people asking about, okay, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got? What's coming up? What are you, all the time, because I don't feel like I quote unquote sell very hard. I mean, I do,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. I'm like, buy my thing because it's so easy.
Yeah. I
But
don't
like it also comes from a heart-centered spot,
Yeah.
like it's not like desperate. It's not like I
Yeah.
just have to have this work. I already know it works. And
Yeah.
you either want to join me and like have it work for you, or you don't. And that's
Right.
okay. Like I'm not like clinging to it. I think that's like the sweet spot of sales. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally. Yeah. When it comes naturally, because like there's so many things, especially with sales tactics, that you can get in your head about
Right.
already. For example, DMing people, right? So I was having a conversation earlier this morning with a client around LinkedIn because I feel like you and breathwork is like me discovering LinkedIn. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh my fucking God, this is so cool. You guys need to abandon the other ones and come over here, you know? And
I
so,
love it.
yeah, I think Instagram's heard me talking. And so it's like taken my my
That's
engagement,
hilarious.
like gone through blah. But I don't focus a lot of energy there anymore
Yeah.
either, like I was before. And I was getting, I mean, I was making sales, but it wasn't like anything spectacular, compared to being on LinkedIn. And I'm just like obsessed with the platform and like the quality of people you can meet there too. It's amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway, like without having to, like, for example, in when I've joined masterminds and paid for programs and things, I've met a lot of quality people, right? And that's usually
Sure.
how it's sold in the coaching industry. Well, get in my vortex and you'll meet others,
Right.
and that's how you grow. And no,
Right.
I'm like,
Totally. No.
something always felt off about, like,
Yeah.
I didn't feel like the only time I grew my network had to be if I was paying somebody else, like
Right.
that didn't really vibe with me. Anyway, so being on LinkedIn though, like I can have 30 different DM conversations a day with people, getting to know people and connecting. I've been invited to do so many things without even putting like much out there, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's been I feel like I'm obsessed with LinkedIn, like you're obsessed with the breath work,
I love it. Now you're getting me interested in LinkedIn. I'm like,
right?
should
It's
I be
so
over there?
fun. I mean, there's everybody. Like, so here's what happened. It used to be like the job search platform,
Right.
or, like for stuffy corporate jobs and stuff like that. And like, I've been one of the OGs on LinkedIn from like 2006, when it
Yeah.
first started, but I only used it if I was looking for a job. And so over the last 3 years, they've changed the platform and they've made it a lot more of a social network and encouraged a lot of connections. So like you connect with people that are your ideal client so easily. Like if I say I want to work just with coaches who coach executives on how to not have burnout, and that's the only people I want to focus on, you could literally connect with just those types of people and find them so easily and be talking with them in a conversation within the same day.
Oh my
Like
gosh, that's amazing.
it really is. So where was I going with that?
Uh, Finding your thing with LinkedIn, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Yes. So, I mean, I've just had so much fun doing that. And the DM part. Okay, so I was having a conversation with a client earlier about reaching out to people who have looked at your profile, because you can tell who's looked at your
Yep.
profile, and
Mhm.
you can actually, like, they're showing interest in some way, shape, or form. And you can, I promote the fact that, like, if you're connected with somebody already, and it's like, if not, then it's totally cold, right? But like if they've sought you out and they've looked at
Mhm.
your profile, then you can be like, hey, thank you so much. Like, I'm just curious what piqued your interest, or, like what, why did you decide to friend me, or what, or connect with me, or whatever. Like you can send something innocuous like that, or like, anything I can help you with kind of thing.
Yeah.
not like in one of those ways where it's like a retail sales kind of thing. You're like, can I
Sure.
help you
Yeah.
find a sweater right now? Is it blue or yellow? Anyway, like you can get in your head about just a simple thing like that. So, like, for example, whenever anybody connects with me, I always send them. I mean, it's hard to keep up with the number of connections, to be honest, but like when I'm on my A game, I'm always sending somebody like a connection, like message that's like, hey, thanks for connecting. And I genuinely do love connecting other people with the types of people that they need to meet, right? Like if
Yeah.
you wanted to meet executive coaches and coach them on breath work, then I'd be like, oh my God, I just spoke with somebody and had a coffee chat. You got to meet my friend Alessandra,
Yeah.
like you got to listen to the podcast episode. She can help you. She'll help your whole entire sales force. This will be amazing.
Yes.
Like I love connecting people like that. And so,
By the
you
way, I'm totally getting into corporate next year.
know,
So let's keep talking.
you you need to also, yeah, let's stay in touch about that because I think I told you um my husband went to Rishikesh to get his in India to get his yoga teacher training. And so they were
Yeah.
doing like breath work every day. And we've always been talking about breath work. And I told him, I was like, you need to be the guy doing yoga classes before the sales meeting starts so that people get their mental shit together before they have
Love
that
it.
stressful meeting. And then you could do like meditation, like room during lunch or breath work or whatever. Like it would be great to pair you guys together to do that.
Yeah. No, seriously. I think it's just so
Or
powerful
yeah,
because, with my mindset is like, breath work is already so powerful as a modality. And then when I combine it with like sales and
yeah,
money and that, like, companies are going to be like, oh, so you're not only going to help my clients with their mental health and their well-being, but you're going to help us make more money. Okay. Like, come
yeah, your
on
bottom
in.
line for sure. Well, yeah, I mean that too. It's like it, and also think about an unhappy an unhappy employee leaving out of spite and then them
Right.
having to keep rehiring people, like just the cost of losing people
Yep.
because they're disgruntled, you can
Yeah.
go a whole long way by taking care of them on the front end. And so, but yeah, like you know, people who are super smart and are experts can get in their heads about just sending a simple message that's like, reaching out to somebody who
Yeah.
literally just asked to be in their world or accepted you into their world because it's like it's that, what are people going to think of me, like am I too much, am I too bothersome, am I too this?
Yep.
And if you're constantly thinking are you too much or not
Blank.
enough
Yep.
or whatever, like you're not going to be able to confidently make sales. You could come across as desperate or come across as apathetic or self-sabotage your messaging or show up like half
Yeah.
hour late, like there's so many ways that your mind makes sure that you don't reach that goal, that it's like,
Right.
the mind fuckery is real.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's where my being big program came from, is
Yeah.
because I was seeing that, right? Like
Yeah.
the thought and for me, my armor of smallness that is continually there. We all have kind
Yeah.
of all of them in some way, shape, or form, but I always talk about them as armor, like where, like, what's your chest plate, or like what's your, like, your helmet, like the
Yeah.
thing that's really like heavy on you, right? Mine is the fear of success and like what success means, and
Hmm.
which is counterintuitive because we're like, oh my gosh, I want all the money, I want all the fame, I
Yeah.
want all the audience, right? But like for me, that was really scary. And my nervous system, every time that I would get, quote unquote successful, I would get a lot of clients or I would have a big money month or something. My
Hmm.
nervous system would freak out and it would be like danger, 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 because of the ingrained fear of success and what success means. What does it mean to be big? What does it mean to have a big audience? Oh my gosh, that's dangerous to have a lot of money because you could lose it all. That's my story, right?
Oh yeah,
All these things,
I
right?
have that one too. I was actually
Yeah.
just talking about it earlier today on another episode.
Yeah. And that's like for me, I
Mhm.
saw that happen, right? Like I grew up, I was a little kid on the beautiful mansion
Yeah.
and had all the
Same.
money, and then we went bankrupt. And
Us too.
so,
Yeah.
yeah. And so then, like, and my dad also built it back up again and then almost went bankrupt again. Right. And so, like, for me, it's like, oh, I better, one, I had this like hoarding mentality of like, I better make as much money as I can,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
what if the coaching industry goes away? Or what if what if something happens where like I just need all the money, and then what if I lose it all? Right. And
Yeah.
so success to me meant the higher possibility of pain, right? Of
Danger.
like, right? And so like I've had to really do a lot of that breath work of like, it's safe to be successful.
Oh my God. Yeah. It's
It's safe
you
to
are
have money.
so true. Yeah. Like totally speaking the language there. Yeah.
Yeah. And like with that, it's like it's safe. I think what you're discussing with like the DMs and people
Mhm.
in sales too, and selling their products and getting visible, right? A big thing that comes in to like literally every day in some way, shape, or form in any program that it is that it's unsafe to be seen, right?
Yeah.
Like to people really see me because, oh my gosh, what are they going to actually see? Are they going to see that I'm not really this way, or I'm not enough,
Yeah.
or I'm an imposter, or I don't really know what I'm talking about, or I'm not
Yeah.
an expert, right? And so like people let that, or
Mhm.
trauma, like where
Yeah.
when they were a kid, they were seen and it was responded with like unsolicited, you know, acts and things that were really traumatizing, and the attention actually was very detrimental to them. Like I've had a lot of clients where they've had like childhood sexual trauma and things like that, where being seen actually was a dangerous thing,
Yeah.
right? And so they shrunk and stayed small and stayed behind because, well, I've got to be behind the scenes. I've no one can see me or else I'm going to be hurt, right?
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of things that we're carrying. Obviously that's not everybody, but like I
Yeah.
do actually see that a lot, especially in the entrepreneurial space, of like women who have been abused in some way. And so being seen is literally dangerous, where we've got
Yeah.
to heal that, right? And allow them that 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 underlying belief that it can be safe to be seen, and I can be too much doesn't mean the same as it did then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, it's so true. Cause like I'm not sure. So there's a few different stories that always come up for me. We were talking about timeline therapy in the previous episode that I've got
Yeah.
like 4 podcasts. Today is the day that I batch all the podcast episodes.
Woohoo!
And so, but one of the stories, like, I don't know for me sometimes if it's a fear of failure or a fear of success. Cause
Yeah.
growing up, I was always like an A student, always like had my mom had high expectations. My parents are both, well, my mom and stepdad are both teachers. And so like if I brought home a B or even a B plus, I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
like that high standard was, but then you see like in corporate life, it almost like veers into the other way
Yeah.
because if you have super high sales results and for some you're rewarded, you're seen, you're like, and it's fun, like you like being seen, you get presents, you get great
Right.
bonuses, you get recognition, you get additional like responsibility that you actually want. Like I became a sales trainer at the 3 to 4 years into being a sales rep. I made like
Yeah.
22 millions in sales after 2 years in my territory. And so, but then you go, like, if you don't, like, I've seen with a lot of other people, and I don't know if I subconsciously did this, but like, you're rewarded for being at the top, but the next year, somebody else is at the top, and
Yeah.
they're rewarded and they're like the prized pig, you know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so maybe it's safer to be towards the middle where you don't have to work as many hours, you get paid pretty much the same, and you have like way more freedom because you don't have to spend all your time like working all the time. And so it's almost like it's definitely not safe to be at the very, very bottom, but then it's also not safe to be at the very, very top. So you just aim for mediocrity because then it can
Yeah.
be your like comfort zone?
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
it's so funny because I've actually been really doing my own work lately of mediocrity and like being okay with mediocrity. And it's really interesting because I have this conversation with my husband all the time, because he's like, you're far from mediocre, right? Like I
Yeah.
played, softball in college. I was a national
I
champion.
played
I was
softball too, like all through high school and middle school.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Yeah.
yeah, and I was like an all-American, and I was, then, just very successful in business and whatever. And like, I've built a multiple six figure business, and I'm over here being like, that's mediocre. Right.
Yeah.
And it's because I haven't had like a kind of just what you were talking about. It's like, oh, I can like kind of work the bare minimum and I
Yeah.
can hang out right here and I'm good, right? And I've kind of let that be like even in softball, even in
Yeah.
sports, like and even in college, like I didn't have to work as hard as everyone else to be good, right?
Yeah.
I really was
Yeah.
blessed with that, right? And I can see that and honor that, but like I could have been better, right? Or I could have pushed myself, but I like kind of took the easy button, right? And I'm really realizing that now as I'm like looking around and now starting to be dissatisfied with mediocrity,
Mm-hmm.
my version of mediocrity. I want to be really clear to
Yeah.
anyone like listening to this, like we all have our versions. Mine looks different than yours, that's okay, right? And I always say this is such an interesting topic because I say up until I found breath work,
Yeah.
I call it like I mindseted my way to mediocrity. Like
Mm-hmm.
I like just I would do all the mindset work. I would do the journaling, the meditation, the things that were just like really just in the mind, right? And I was I was fine in my mediocrity, right? And then breathwork started showing me as I was healing any of the wounds from childhood, healing the stuff, healing, whatever was coming up. I'm like, oh wait, this is actually mediocre in my space, and like I can actually step into a place where it's safe to be big, right?
Yeah.
It's safe to be, to have like it was really kind of scary for me to create money breathwork because no one was doing it. And breathwork, in its historical usages was really just mental health, anxiety, depression,
Yeah.
just
Wim Hof,
well-being.
cold
What?
plunges, like Wim Hof and cold plunges.
Yeah, yeah. And like it's beautiful and it's
Yeah.
great. And it's like that changes the world. Every person who does that work changes the world too. And here I am over here being like, let's do it with business
Yeah.
and let's do it with like sales. And people are like, what the heck are you doing? And I had to like really do a lot of work to because like I was coming from a place of like this is new, like I'm gonna have to quote unquote convince people that they need this, right? Like that was my mindset, which I totally don't have that mindset anymore. I'm like, you want this, like seriously, come on in.
Yeah.
But I had to do a lot of work of like, what does it mean to stand out? What does it mean to be a thought leader? What does it mean? I've had a couple people in my inbox being like, I see you on big stages in front of like Google
Yeah.
and
Like
big
TEDx.
companies like TED. Yeah, like all I see you in front of these places presenting and like because you're doing something that is groundbreaking, and that's scary. Like I have to tell you, like that's
Like it
I've
should.
had to do a lot of really work because like that means, like I was just saying, like as you I mean I was just thinking as you were talking about like being staying in the middle.
Yeah.
Staying in the middle is safe because you don't have to be disappointed.
Yeah.
You don't have to be hurt if you came in second, like thinking about your sales,
And there's no
scoring and everything.
pressure. You don't have to
There's
feel
no
pressure.
pressure. You
You're
can
like,
just
"This is good
coast.
enough."
Yeah, like good enough. And it's so funny in my
Under
grad
the
school.
radar.
Yeah, and that's like totally safe. And so like in my grad school we actually didn't get grades, which was awesome, but everything was like the good enough paper. Like always write the good enough paper. And I was always good enough. I've always been like good enough, right? And that's been safe. And so as I've been doing this work, I'm realizing that we can stay safe. We can, I mean, quote unquote safe, what we believe is safe, right? What we're told is safe. We can be behind the scenes, that's safe. Or we can step into that next level of safety to be big.
Yeah.
And like, what does that get to mean? I've literally cried during breath work multiple times. Like, why do you want to be big, Alessandra? Why do you want to be on stages? Like, you don't have to be. You can just stay here. You can just stay like in your little realm. You can maybe, grow your business to $1 million and just like, that's cool. But like, why do you want these freaking things? Like, why do you don't you won't even have to work very hard to have the things. And I was like, because, like, and I'm like fighting myself.
The
It's like, but
world, yeah.
right? Like, why do you want these things? Like, you don't have to have them,
Yeah.
right? Like, you love your life. I have beautiful children. I have an amazing husband. We have a gorgeous life. Like, what I feel like a lot of people have this, like, why me? Like, why do I need to be big? Why do I have to be on stages? Someone else can do that, right? Whereas, like, I've literally fought myself crying during, like, why do you want these things? And it's like, you don't have to have them. And it's like, you're right, I could skirt by in the middle, being in my little, like, bubble of, like, quote unquote safety,
Yeah.
or I can step into a next level and also be safe there, right? That
Oh,
also gets to be safe
yeah.
and fun and exciting. And I can still have my beautiful life.
Yeah.
And, like, I have a lot of clients that are worried about what success looks like because their families or their health or things like that, where they're worried that being more successful will take away. Like, I've had people come to realizations that they actually don't want more clients because they're worried of what it would look like. They'd worry of, you were talking about burnout, right? It's like, I'm worried about being away from my kids or whatever. It's like,
Yeah.
we can take what you want to do, and we can find, this is the strategy piece, right? Find the way that
Mm-hmm.
actually allows you to be big in a safe way that keeps you healthy, that keeps you loving your life, that
It
keeps you in a
pays.
space of, like,
Yeah.
expansion and love, and without all the pressure and
Yeah.
the burnout and the fear. And, like, so I've had to do a lot of my own work around this, let's be real.
Totally.
um and
Yeah.
it's a continual process. Like, you were asking, like, why are my programs a year? It's because, like, it is
Because you need
a
the support.
continual process. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Alessandra, this has been so amazing. Please, okay, tell everybody where they can come and find you and your life-changing programs, because I love it. And I really feel like, your mission has to be bigger than your internal bullshit,
Yep.
because you're needed in the world, not you personally, but everybody who's listening,
Everyone.
you who's listening to, like, I am listening to myself, like,
Yep.
we all need to figure these out. We all need to claim what's rightfully ours. And that's because there's other people who need your help.
Yes,
Yeah.
100%.
So where can they find you?
Yes. So, I have been putting up, I have a program called Money Breathwork that I'm going to have up for free. Currently it's at alessandracaprice.com/money breathwork.
Right.
I will also have it at moneybreathwork.com shortly in the next coming weeks. So if someone's listening to this, months later, it's at moneybreathwork.com. And then I have a group on Facebook called Big Money Months, the Big
Right.
Money Months portal.
Yeah.
And I do free events in there periodically. Like, we have one right now. I'm going to have one at the end of March. And then probably every couple months, I do something in there that give you a taste of what this is. And then alessandracaprice.com/experience is where you get to see, like, all the programs, like, where you're going to be able to see big money, money magnet, sales alchemy, being big, what those all look like. Because I have, the business expansion experience gives you them all, which I really recommend.
Yeah.
But that's where you can find me.
Oh my God, I love it. Well, thank you guys. And thank you so much, Alessandra, for coming and talking with me today. And y'all go find her and follow her and breathe with her.
Yes.
Yes, it's amazing that something we've been doing since birth, we can still
Right.
get so much
Utilize.
value from. So
Yeah.
thank you so much, Alessandra. And I will see everybody on the next episode. Bye.
Thank you.